From shamans to scientists, mediums to masterminds, cannabis to LSD. Spark joy, spark curiosity, and spark a joint. Because you're listening to Budding Mind. Budding Mind. Aloha, friends, and welcome to the Budding Mind podcast. I'm Brooke Bergstaller, and today's guest is Danielle Olivarez. There we go. She's a mindfulness teacher, cannabis educator, yoga instructor, business owner, and all-around cool girl. But don't just take my word for it. You're about to find out for yourself. She uses cannabis as a tool to connect deeper to self, and then she teaches other people how to do the same, largely by example and also through her brand, Highlite Oasis, her cannabis wellness platform, where she offers infused meditations, practices, and philosophies to enhance and uplift people's experiences with cannabis. We're going to gush all over our favorite plant today and maybe a few others, so enjoy the convo and welcome Danny to the show.
I just realized that you have one of my signature fall colors on your nails.
Oh, and what's that describe for the listeners at home?
Midnight blue.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to only wear blue or purple polishes. Like, that's it. I don't know why.
I can't read auras, but maybe that's the color of your aura, or like the main color of your aura.
You are so chill. Wow, I love it so much. Okay, so how you feeling today? How we doing?
Really good. I'm excited.
Yeah?
I'm excited to hang out.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I'm amongst friends,
Yeah.
and we're just chatting, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. I'm going to move my mic a little bit, so for those listening at home, for Mark, don't be mad at me. There we go. Okay, gorgeous. So let's start with the origin story. This is one of our first times hanging out. I'm a big fan, but I'm excited to get to know you better. So when did you first become hip to the pot?
Like I was 14.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was middle school. I had a skater boyfriend.
Classic.
Who quickly taught me how fun it could be to smoke out of like a Coke liter bottle and then order Chinese food and watch weeds in his mom's den.
I mean, that honestly sounds fun today. So I was like, I can't judge young Danny at all.
Yeah, but I wasn't like super in love with it. Like I got it. I understood what it could already do for me at that young of an age, but I had bigger fish to fry, like getting through middle school. So I didn't really like get into like fully like getting into the stoner lifestyle,
Right.
as some may call it, until like I was 16 or 17.
Right on. And it sounds like the origin story, and I think for a lot of us, my origins with cannabis as well, not like the most healthy exhibition of relationship with the plant. Not even in terms of like the overconsumption, but just in like the stereotypical order Chinese food, watch TV, all of this.
Yeah.
So when you turned 16 or later, did you start to like, what made you start seeing a different side of this plant?
So that didn't come until a lot later.
I was going to say, you're a woke 16-year-old.
Yeah, no, that didn't come until a lot later. Yeah, no, at 16, I was like smoking out of like a Dr. Pepper can. Gosh.
I love all the soda can references as potential bongs and pipes.
No, right, you're right. TM. No. Yeah, it wasn't until maybe like 19. I was living by myself in Miami. And I had just gotten out of a very abusive relationship.
Oh, wow.
And in that relationship, like weed was our thing. Like, it's like what really bound us together. We loved to smoke together whenever like he would like was mad at me or did something wrong or something like, along those lines without having to get too graphic. For those of us who might feel sensitive out there to all of this, he would like get me really nice glass, like $800 pieces, and like just really just like touch that side of me, that Libra side of me that like wants beautiful glass to smoke out of. No, but also, that was our thing. And it took me like getting out of that relationship and seeing how like I would wake up in the middle of the night from anxiety, because obviously I was like going through stuff. Had PTSD. And I would immediately just go for my bong and have multiple like, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m. bong sessions just because I didn't want to like think.
Wow.
And it took me obviously a while of doing that to start to question myself and be like, hey, does this feel good? Like weed helps me, but like, does this feel good?
Mm-hmm.
And that started my journey down, just starting to be a bit more intentional and like start asking the questions that I have a lot of people ask themselves today.
Starting to get all existential with it. I mean, I think your story speaks to cannabis in multiple very interesting ways. One being that kind of somewhat disassociative quality that can come from overconsumption of cannabis, and how that can actually be beneficial for people who are experiencing PTSD and don't want to or don't have the capacity to keep reliving those experiences, whether through waking life or Vietnam veterans through their nightmares, So there's that component for sure. But having the awareness that you did, that might not be the most healthy way to continue a relationship with the plant, like, got a speed on you. Good work. So fortunately, you exited this relationship and started to have your own relationship with the cannabis plant. Was there ever like a moment of like not consuming once you started?
I mean, not on purpose, to be quite honest. I recently did like a 30-day break.
I remember that. How'd it go?
It went really well.
Yeah?
I didn't believe in myself before I was doing it. I like really psyched myself up, and I feel like the universe, my ancestors, like my past lives of maybe going through this at some point, whatever you want to think, helped me get through it with literally zero anxiety. I got through it that way. And I know that that's not common. So like, I almost feel guilty, not guilty, that's not the right word, but I almost feel weird talking about it and that way, because I know that so many people, like, that's not their experience. But yeah, like,
I'm like, yes, your ancestors probably were there behind you.
Yeah, I was lucky. And it went really well. But I bring it up because that was really the first time since like I was 17 when I was like really maybe even starting to smoke daily. I'm definitely after high school, I was smoking daily. So yeah, before that, I've like taken a break for a couple weeks.
Because like you accidentally traveled outside of the country.
Yeah, like I'd go to Cuba to visit my family. And even then, like after the first or second time I did that, I like would bring a pen or something. Like, oh, they don't know what this is. Now they probably will. But.
Yeah, maybe now they do. But I love that you took this breather. I mean, that's proof in the pudding, practicing what you preach, because your essence and your contribution to the cannabis community and industry is all about mindful relationship with this plant, which I couldn't be more giddy about. I think it is the most important part about pushing this plant forward in the most authentic way possible is helping to make it possible for people to have authentic relationship with the plant. So when did this like light bulb spark for you? That, I guess, when did it start for you personally, and when were you like, I want to bring other people into this fold of how I'm feeling about how I'm consuming?
So it didn't happen till later. So I was living in New York at the time, and I was like 22 or 23, and at the time of the kind of light bulb moment, I was like maybe 22 and just went to Paris with some friends who I was working at, like my first job in New York, which was this really popular nail salon where all like, the influencers and PR girlies would go to. And I thought that's the world I wanted to go into as like a journalist. And anyways, quickly realized as the whole trip, they made fun of me for, wanting to find the weed in Paris, which France is known for being so hard to find cannabis. And they would make fun of me, meanwhile getting drunk every night and doing, other drugs. And, it just, I wasn't with my people. I remember one of the girls even called me weird because one morning while they were all hungover, And I wasn't. I was doing yoga in like the living room.
And they called you weird?
She was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing yoga here right now? That's so weird. Like, yeah, it was like these little moments and these passive aggressive moments where I was like, oh, these aren't my friends. And also I'm tired of being seen as like, you know, immature or, you know, lesser than because I preferred cannabis over alcohol or, you know, other drugs. And yeah, I just decided one day after talking with a coworker of mine, because Highlights didn't start just with me. I did have a coworker who her and I like, we were both like, yeah, we're very passionate about cannabis and we want to, you know, show people that two women of color can like know about it and smoke and be educated and want to do it outside of just wanting to get high. And so that's all it took. That's all.
Wait, did you ever find weed in France?
Did I ever find? Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thanks to like a friend of a friend. But it definitely wasn't really good. And they kept trying to get me to smoke hash. And
I was gonna say, was it hash? I feel like
no, but they're like, but we could just get you hash. And for some reason, I was like, no, I want flour. I just want flour.
No, I want your swaggiest, grossest, whatever it is. It's Parisian. Who cares?
Yeah, but anyways.
Well, that's some shit. I remember the era of people who were healthy, that being uncool. And I think we're definitely seeing that, like, we have turned that corner. Most people have, definitely here in the bubble of Los Angeles. You wouldn't ever think otherwise. But tell me more about Highlite. So you started this platform, this brand with your friend, and what was the original intention of its creation?
I believe our tagline or like our bio read, 2 girls in Brooklyn who smoke more weed than you do. It was mostly about just community building and about, again, destigmatizing what 2 women of color who did understand cannabis and more than just like strains and who wanted to help educate their community. Like we wanted to destigmatize what that looked like. And quickly, it kind of just became something that I was doing. And so we decided like, okay, Highlights is like gonna just be my thing. And she went on to even like do her own thing, I believe, like CBD massages, which is so her.
I love it.
But I just put myself out there and, you know, like I was telling you before we started talking about how I met Natasha, it's just on Instagram, going through hashtags and following people in the industry who are also, or people who I say the industry, but to me, there were just people who were also posting similar things about cannabis, who lived in Brooklyn, who lived in New York City, and then quickly just, you know, got into different rabbit holes and how we all do it nowadays, right? How we research nowadays.
Yeah, I'm like remembering this too.
And that's how it started. And I just started going to events, which in New York was just a lot of like people popping up at stores who would allow them, who were like down with cannabis, who wanted to give the community a space to have different vendors pop up. And it wasn't like, you know, flower vendors. It was, you know, CBD bombs and yoni steams and
I was going to say, okay, so you were with your people.
Yeah. I mean, Brooklyn for sure. But that's what it was. And that's how I got my start. And just making friends that way. And everyone was just so supportive of each other, still is very supportive of one another. And so that's always been my vision and my view of the cannabis space, is like people supporting people and wanting to help each other grow.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you ever felt like being someone who advocates for maybe you don't need to smoke that right now. Maybe like, or asking, why are you smoking that? Like infusing kind of that, slowing down people's consumption, making it more intentional, and sometimes even preventing it by helping people to ask these questions about like, why are we consuming? Do you ever, or did you ever experience pushback from people in the space who maybe didn't like get what you were trying to do? Or you feel like everyone got it?
As far as like someone telling me like, don't tell me when I should smoke or something like that.
Yeah, I guess.
No. No. I think everyone's kind of understood it. The only thing I have gotten was I remember Bushwick Daily, a friend of my woman who's now my friend. Her name is Andrea. She lives here actually now. But she wrote an article about me, and a lot of the comments were like, she didn't bring cannabis to Brooklyn. Like people who like didn't get it, like didn't get what the article was about. That's the most pushback I've gotten about my message. And it's definitely even changed throughout the years because I've been able to even understand what I mean a little bit more. And I talk about it in this way because I smoke every day. Like, and I go through periods that I'm like, I just need to smoke a bowl. Like, you know, and I've had to ask myself these questions, and I've seen the power of like taking 2 hits and not being enough. I've seen how good I felt after even like 4 days out of the 30 of my break. You know, like the 30 was just to like prove something to myself, if anything. And like, because it's a fun number, you know what I mean? Not because I felt like that's going to mean something more than like if I took a week, you know, or even 3 days. My point being is, yeah, no, I haven't gotten pushback. And I think that's because I've always tried to also express the message by saying like, listen, I also smoke every day, and this is just like what I am learning and what I'm seeing from life and from my experiences with this plant and how I feel we could be more mindful. And that's just in life in any ways by asking ourselves deeper questions and being the annoying toddler to ourselves of like, but why?
So yeah, what are these questions that you were asking yourself, or that when you work with people, you start to force them to look at?
Well, first and foremost is like, okay, like when do you notice yourself feeling like, oh, like I need, like this is the only thing that's going to alleviate me in this moment. And for me, it was when I was like in a high stress environment, or like, you know, my boyfriend stopped texting me, or like, you know, like I was in like these moments where I felt like the world was going to end. Yeah. Of not being able to ground myself, of not being able to just stimulate my nervous system in a way that reminded me that I was safe, not that I was in danger. And so that's where we start. And then it goes into like, well, how are you feeling now? And then if it's, you know, if you come to a Highlite's like yoga session, you never have to consume, but if you do, I advise to not take more than 3 hits and then to check in before and after.
That is so cute.
Yeah, because it's all about just, there are different ways, is my point. There's so many different ways that we can ask ourselves different questions. So it's, if we start in just like, well, why are we doing this? You know, how do we feel in this moment? What's our goal? Then all the other questions kind of follow.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that's really fucking sweet.
Thanks.
When I was in this organization called Cannabis, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but
I think so, yeah.
The mantra, because we would all consume together, and it is just as powerful to pass as it is to puff. And even though that's like a cheesy little phrase coming from cannabis, I do think like that has always really, really stuck with me. And sometimes I even feel in spaces at cannabis events, or even like filming, like I'm not consuming before filming. It's a cannabis podcast. Oh my God. Sometimes I even feel within the cannabis space that I'm supposed to consume more in order to have like a valid reason to be here. And that's just me sharing my vulnerabilities. But I feel like you have moved on, and I'm looking at you as inspiration. So thank you.
No, I get that. It could go either way.
Yeah. But definitely would love to learn more about the offerings that Highlite Oasis is bringing. So you do a lot of different things, but maybe you could first tell me about the yoga and live events that you are providing and what those experiences look like, and if you have any coming up.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to talk about it, especially because, like you said, I offer a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of learning lessons throughout the last 6 years, and I've recently really simplified, so I'm so excited to share. So Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific time, I host a free 10-minute morning meditation. And this is on Instagram Live. And I've been doing that since literally we were all put on lockdown in 2020. It was like my way of giving to the community. So it's like has a soft spot in my heart and I still do it. And it's like a free offering that I love to give to everyone. So please come out to that.
And do people consume before?
It's up to you.
Yes,
I mean, it's 9 a.m. my time. It could be noon for you, whoever.
It's not necessarily like it's stoner meditation.
No, it's more around like meditation is a tool that we can use with or without cannabis. If you are trying to take a tea break, if you just want to do something outside of smoke a bowl, maybe you want to do it with. The point is, I think everyone should meditate more and
regulate that nervous system.
Find different ways to regulate our nervous system. I always say, let's make the habitual a ritual. And in order to make something a ritual and not a habit, it's all about knowing what other things we can use. And then we have choice. And that's really powerful. So it's just really a way for you to practice meditating more. So here's like 10 minutes I'm giving. Let's meet together. And it's always the same people. So there is a true sense of community and you don't feel like you're just like meeting me, you're meeting each other. So that's a really great place to hang out with me and learn how to meditate. Okay. And then also I recently started doing in-person classes here in Venice. So if you've never heard of Little Lunch Coffee and Snacks, I think is like their full name. It's cute. It's a place out in Venice on Brooks Avenue, and they have a space next door to the like coffee shop where you buy coffee, and it's perfect for yoga. So I kicked off classes there on my birthday in October, and we're going to start them off in January.
Cute.
So come out there for a live class. And then lastly, I'm going to start teaching one class a week on Zoom just to like reconnect with everyone online. I like kind of really miss teaching online. I also got a cool new mic, so it's nice to have fun with it.
I love that.
As a yoga teacher, I'm sure you understand. You're like, I want to like practice with this and have
kind
fun.
of in one of our yoga classes. Well, I'm done teaching yoga.
Okay. But like you get like how fun it could be too, just to like have a new toy to work with.
Oh my God, for sure. We were using like really nice Rode ear mics for teaching. Oh, it was I felt like such a pro. I was like, am I at Equinox Gym teaching to a room full of 100 people?
Invest in yourself.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you for that. And so, are all of those offerings cannabis infused?
So it's always up to you. So a Highlite yoga session means that we're going to have movement, meditation, and breath work accompanied with or without cannabis. Events are a little different as far as like what may or may not be included, but that's the framework. That's what you can expect from the class. So it's up to you. Do you want to smoke before that? Do you want to smoke during it? Do you want to smoke after it? It's really up to you. You don't have to do any of it. But it's a safe space to consume. That's really like the most important part.
So it sounds like cannabis, like you teach people how to use cannabis to be mindful, but how has cannabis made you more mindful?
It's made me more mindful by one, noticing things in my body that maybe I've been ignoring, because I'm very good at ignoring things and I realize it.
Oh, it's a skill.
Yeah, I'm very good at it.
Pushing things down.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm like, I feel so many things. I thought I could feel everything. I don't, I guess. It's also, I have fibromyalgia. So it's again, just helped me be more mindful of like what my body needs and not pushing it. While also, like getting me to like get really like stoned and be like, wait, but like why? Or whatever.
Oh gosh, do I know.
And that scares people, but I love it. I can get deep with myself and not get scared. So
Yeah.
it's helped me. It's helped me a lot in that way.
I love that. The other day I took my partner and I were learning the same song on the guitar. So adorable. But he's a lot better than me. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to like go into a separate room and like fumble around and be really bad at this by myself. I needed to be alone. And I was sconed out of my mind. And quickly stopped. I don't know how to play the guitar, but I was like in this bubble. I felt like I was channeling like song and music, and what few chords on the guitar I knew, like I was in this spiral of, I don't think I'd given myself the space to be fully alone and enraptured with the plant in a creative, solitary way in a long time. And it was like, I felt like I just kept penetrating new layers of like, whoa, I'm in a portal. Is this all because of weed? So that was fun. It's really fun to explore those different layers of self with the help of our plant medicine friends. So do you use cannabis every time you meditate? And like, what does your personal practice look like besides your offerings in the world?
Yeah, no, not always.
Okay.
I like to meditate in the morning before anything.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I do it every day. It's just what I like to do. And then sometimes I think when I'm really sad, like the main difference between stressed and other things, I think sad specifically, I will take two with my bong because it's like my little emotional support bong. I'll take like a hit, and again, because it's that sweet spot where you're just able to shut out a little bit of the thoughts.
But you're not
fully
inebriated.
Detached. Yeah, you're not detached. You're just able to like be like, okay, I'm not going to look at you for a second. I'm just going to focus right here. I see you, but we're not hanging out right now.
So what would you say to people who meditation practice can be difficult for a lot of people to get into the groove of? Mm-hmm. And I even had someone tell me recently, like, you judge me for not meditating. I don't need to meditate. And I was like, I think you're proving to me that you should meditate.
You're like,
but
I do that to myself sometimes. I'll be like really,
like, there can be like judgment. Mm-hmm. You know, once you establish wellness practices with yourself, I think people can be hard on themselves. Like, but I'm not doing it enough. But all of that aside, what would you say to someone who is curious about meditation and doesn't know if it's for them? Like, why should I really be doing this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I could like go one of two routes. I can go the scientific route and just say like when we focus on anything, the GABA in our brain increases and
great.
Like, we're able to, I could go that route. Or I really just like to tell people like, it's not about like how good you are. The point of meditation is like how many times can you bring yourself back to the point of focus. So whether that's a song, whether that's the breath, like whatever that can help you just get into flow in that way, that's fine. And then you can move on to completely silent room and you're just following the sound of your breath. And then you can move on to visualizing colors moving up and down your, like it doesn't have to be like, boom, you're meditating for 15 minutes right away, or even 5 minutes, or even 1 minute. Also breath work. Because it gives people like a physical feedback, like they're feeling something right away. So like alternate nostril breathing, which I kind of wanted to do together.
You want to guide everyone through some Nadi Shodhana?
Well, not Nadi Shodhana, but I wanted to kind of share as like a gift for like just having me on here. That's like my nerdy way of giving gifts.
Okay, cute.
But as a little tip for everyone, a great way, I'm sure you know this, a great way to just cleanse our lungs, also wake up, help us through depression, help us through those low moments as the seasons change, is to incorporate a little bit more of Kapalabhati breathing. And it's so simple and easy to get to. And of course, if you're on your moon cycle or if you're feeling any like stomach issues, it's not always easy, but the 3-part breath can be. So I wanted to maybe.
Are we going to do all of them?
No.
Oh, okay.
But like maybe we could like do a quick little Kabbalah-bati.
Let's do a quick. I feel like also this is
energy.
Good. What's it? ASMR.
Yeah.
Like just. Okay, so for everyone listening, Danny's going to guide us through a little bit of breath work. So whatever you're doing right now, hopefully you can join us. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But I do a lot of breath work while I'm driving, actually. I do a lot of Kabbalah-bati when I'm driving to help like invigorate, get some blood flow and like keep me awake to like sharpen my focus. So I'm excited to see what you have to share with us.
Yeah. Okay. So I also figured because we have some video going, it could be nice, little extra for
Cute.
people watching. Okay. So bring your hands at your belly.
Okay.
Take a deep breath in to start. Exhale through the nose. So you automatically feel as you exhale, as your belly button kind of shoots back towards your spine. So that's the sensation I want you to focus on. Take another deep breath in. Feel your belly button shoot forward. And again, exhale halfway. And feel the contraction here in the muscles in your tummy. Now breathe out through the nose. Really sharply. And feel as the belly button shoots back. Keep going. Keep going just like that. All right, now take a deep breath in. Now that we know what it feels like, we're going to let this breath go. Let it all go. Stay empty for a minute. Reset. And then take a half breath in. Bring it to the heart. And begin sharply exhaling. Going at whatever pace is comfortable for you. I like to start really slow. And then work your way up. Yeah. And then work your way up. Not worrying about the inhale that just naturally comes. We'll do it for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath for just a minute. And let your shoulders, your elbows hang heavy. And let your breath go naturally. Cool, huh?
Wow. That's why she's so chill. Thank you for that beauty. And for those listening, that's Breath of Fire.
Yes.
Kabbalah-bati.
Mm-hmm.
You can look that up. Or you can go to highliteoasis.com and learn more. That was so gorgeous. And I think, I have been seeing a naturopath and she told me, she was like, this plays into the making the habitual ritual, that you don't need to meditate for 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, just like you were saying. If that's too hard for you, then what can you do every day to start creating those building blocks in your life? And then you can add on the next layer and the next layer, the next minute or the next exercise. But what is possible for you right now and work within that realm so you can meet yourself where you are, and then you can push beyond whatever that edge is.
Totally. And with that being said, I just want to say, like, if anyone who's listening is listening because they're wondering about how intentional their relationship is and whether or not they should take a bit of a hiatus or just reconsider anything about their relationship to cannabis, I want you to listen to what Brooke just said, because wow, now I lost my train of thought because I got really excited. And I'm like meditation stoned. But oh my gosh, hold on.
Making the habitual a ritual. That's
your
phrase.
Okay, thank you. So when I first decided I was going to stop smoking for a bit and decided I was going to try to do more breath work, I dove into just like a little bit more of the research. And I read that quite literally when we do breath work, we create more anandamide in our body, which anandamide is a cannabinoid our body creates ourselves. And it's responsible for like a runner's high or the high I'm probably feeling right now.
THC mimics this.
And THC mimics that. So it's a great way of kind of tricking your brain, right, in these moments, and still feeling like you're getting
something.
You're getting something.
There's a little zhuzh. Yeah. I'm taking something.
And my point, as I remember right now, is sometimes you just got to talk it out, guys, is that is enough, right? That's not quite what you want maybe in the moment, but that is going to like whatever trick your mind, but also it's going to give your body what it needs. And that's a break. It's your nervous system needs a break. And when you look at it from that way, you're not like, why is this happening? Or why do I have this type of relationship? It's what I hear a lot.
Of like people. Self-judgment.
Yeah, self-judgment or shame. So it's like a lot of things I say is like how to release shame around it, because it's like sometimes an underlying narc in our brain.
Yeah, an underlying narc. Absolutely.
And so as your naturopath had said, like sometimes it's not about going all in. It's just about what are the little things we can do right now. And breath work, maybe it's not Kapalabhati breath. Maybe it's just, breathing slowly, counting your breaths. Like that is enough to start right now if you wanted to, and help yourself.
Yeah.
And your endocannabinoid system.
There we go. It's time to regulate, people. As I mature and grow older, I realize that all that is important and all I want to do is support my nervous system. And it's like undoing a lot of things that worked against that homeostasis for the grand majority of my life. But finally, I'm wiser to the ways. And so I know I mentioned my vulnerable share about feeling like, oh, I don't smoke enough cannabis, like to people in cannabis. To everyone else in my life, they're like, you smoke too much weed. And for sure, at many times in my life, has that brought up shame. When I first was involved in cannabis, when I was reporter for Mary Jane, I told no one. And when I told my parents, I was so proud and excited. And they were like, do not tell anyone. You better cover this up. And so I was like, okay, like, this is like this separate identity of me that I have to like put over here. I can't share what I'm proud of. And I'm proud of my relationship with cannabis. I love this plant so much. And yet the shame can creep in from time to time. And I know it does for other people, as you're saying. So how do you help people like renegotiate that perspective and accept like who they are in this way?
By giving them education on why is it illegal, why to society or whatever you want to call it, like why has for so long been telling us that this is bad for us, it's going to make us stupid, we're lazy if we use it, all of the things. Also just straight up 101 cannabis education. Education is power, knowledge is power. So that alone, when you understand like, well, this is what's happening in my body, this is why it helps me with this or that, can help helping people understand like, okay, well, why do you use it? If it's for general like depression, anxiety, okay, let's talk about CBD. Like, let's like talk about how different cannabinoids can maybe help you outside of just like smoking, which you don't have to give up. It's just about not relying on that to be your be all end all. And with all that comes mindfulness work and just like self-healing and self-compassion work, which meditation immediately unlocks. So getting people to understand, like we already mentioned, that if you just can meditate like 30 seconds and then start to build this up, add affirmations, like just start adding all these little things that will help you understand that this, not only it's okay that you're using this as a tool, and that it, when you realize it doesn't have to be your only one, you also release a lot of the shame in that, and again, there are people out there who maybe this is their only tool and that works for them, and that's okay too, like understanding and educating yourself on this point is understanding that we all have our own endocannabinoid system, and worry about your own endocannabinoid system.
Go read about it.
Yeah.
But we do all have different buckets that need to be filled in our bodies. And I think this wave of consumption or of industry in cannabis just speaks to like how many people were smoking weed before they were allowed to and how many people are now. I think that the overall human connection to this plant speaks to the fact that this plant is filling buckets inside of us, and people are intuitively medicating themselves because they feel good. And what fucking sorcery is that? It's so epic. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are, like, not trying to shame anyone, but I at least personally think that with the advent of industry in the cannabis space, that we are seeing overconsumption or like making that seem cool in a way. And a lot of brands, I think, are like missing the point and greenwashing and saying more is more is more is more as good as more is more as good as more is more. So what are your opinions on that?
Well, it's sad that it's like it's an industry like no other.
Yeah.
And like we all just, at least I do, have a very like emotional relationship with the plant, and so it's hard to think
I cry about her all the time.
Yeah, it's sad to think that Miss Mary Jane is being exploited, you know, just for profit. But that's, you know, that. And I think, again, when you're educated on that and, you know, like go to like Cornerstone or go to like your local dispensary where you know the people take care of you and are going to like give you the lowdown on the brands versus like MedMen. Like that, you know, can help with all that. But also, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, like do you think that overconsumption is an issue?
Oh, right. And like people thinking that it's cool or making it out to be cool. Yeah. And especially when we want people to understand that it's okay for it to be a medicine and it's not just a dissociative, when we're seeing all like these big names throw like bigger parties or even just like in small ways making all their marketing content focus on like pool parties or like getting super stoned or just continuing the stigma because all they're really doing is trying to drive a certain community to buy their weed. Yeah.
Buy my product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really important that we have the communities like the ones that we're in that have podcasts and have host events and, you know, are open to collaborating with each other because that way we keep the information out there, the truth out there, some might say.
Or trying, really trying.
Yeah.
And even if like overconsumption wasn't necessarily what led you to this, but why did you take a 30-day break from cannabis? And tell me all about it and what was day 1 like and what was day 30 like?
Yeah, I mean, overconsumption wasn't part of the decision. Like, I'm totally an overconsumer. Like, just because I teach about this or like I hold space for people to learn more about it doesn't mean that I've like cracked this code and like honor it to its 100%. Like, I'm never going to pretend to like be the know-it-all. I'm the guide. I'm like the big sister that's just going to help you, you know, learn more. But definitely just like wanting to try it out and like give myself that opportunity and be like, you know, you do have self-control, like, and you can do this and you can practice what you preach. And like, as someone who's so addicted to sugar and like needs ice cream all the time, like I'm like, I need to like tell myself that I can do something like this, you know, and like really give up something I love and sacrifice for the greater good. And that's like to just give my system a reset. Like, I didn't drink coffee those 30 days either.
Oh, wow. You were just like, let's just go ham.
Yeah. And I already don't really drink alcohol, but I was like, fuck it, no alcohol. So
she's cleansed.
I cleansed.
Girl.
I was cleansed.
Head to toe.
But that was really the reason. Day 1, I was on a mission. I was like, let's do this. What did I do day one? I was like trying to like record as many TikToks because I wanted to really share the experience and be really real about it and how hard it may or may not have been. But yeah, so I vaguely remembered like just recording myself doing
day one is
shit.
Tell everyone, and day two is like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I really didn't have any of those days. I think by day 4, I was like more annoyed with my boyfriend than usual. I live with my boyfriend, and so it was like I see it right now as like in my closet, like going when he was like talking about something because he was like annoying me. Like I had like less patience.
I feel like that's harmless, but I love it.
Right, but that was like the height of it. But usually I would say like third day is the worst for giving up anything. And then day 30, I was nervous. I was like, okay, am I just going to dive right in? Like I had all these questions for myself.
Yeah.
Like,
do you just like light it up at the end of the day or?
Yeah. Like, like, okay, what was my intention behind this? Like, I just like went back to like, okay, what was my deepest intention? And that was to see if I could do it, blah, blah, blah. But also like, how do I want to reset my relationship? Because I felt this inner call to reset that relationship. I felt that was a very personal thing. Nothing to do with what this plant is doing to me. It's just how I feel. Mm-hmm. And again, I didn't want to get rid of it completely. I just wanted to be able to like not have it so I can come back and have more self-control, I guess, around it because it was a habitual thing. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, yeah, I was like, are you going to smoke at night? Are you going to smoke at day? And then I was like, you're overthinking it. Just see how you fucking feel. And that's what I did.
And okay, so then when did you break your fast?
I broke it November 1st.
Oh, I love that we remember the day.
Yeah. No, I remember too because a few other women in the cannabis space, Meryl from Barbary, she also was doing like a 30-day cannabis cleanse. Her reasons were a little different, but she was hosting it. And so she hosted like a Zoom call for everyone who also said they were going to do it. As like what did we learn and like
did everyone make it to the finish line? I imagine like 30 people were on the first day and then like 3 people are in the last.
Well, there was only one call.
Oh, okay.
And it was that call, at least the one I was on. And I know my friend Juliet, she had done it, but by like the 17th day, she like had a really bad day and like it was her period or something, like something like we could all understand. And she smoked, and but she was there and she was like, I'm still here, like I'm still part of the journey. And so everyone smoked then, and I remember I was like, should I? No, I'm waiting for the first. Like I was so in it by then.
You had like, self-control like a mother.
I was like, yeah. I'm like, no.
And so would you do it again? Do you recommend it to people? Like,
I mean, yeah, if you want.
I've never gone on a
really good
cleanse, like not a cleanse. I've never gone on like a long break beyond traveling to countries where I didn't bring it with me. So
yeah, I mean, even just the way I like talk about it right now, I'm like, my ego is so in it. And I think that's like what kept me going. I was like, no.
Look at me.
I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I mean, again, I felt this deep call. And I thankfully was able to move past any like shameful thoughts that might have popped into my head around my intention behind the break and be like, no, because realistically, like I see myself being like an old woman cooking with cannabis. So like, it's not going to be like out of my life. And for for people who are like afraid of having like a moment where they're not going to smoke, it's like, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, when you plan out diets or breaks from anything, at the moment, it always feels so intense. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, it was 30 days. Like, I need sugar for 30 days. Like, whatever. It's just time. But when you're in the middle of it and really facing yourself. But that's incredible that you felt so supported and like it was the right thing and the most nourishing for you. And you can touch me. That's okay. Get those loafers all over me. Very cool shoes. So, okay. What about for people who when they are, because I know that you work with people who want to have a more mindful relationship with cannabis, with their consumption. But what would you say to people who don't necessarily want to change their habits, but experience paranoia when they're high? How would you help to, like, do you have any practices for people to kind of ground down once they are already in that way?
Hate to sound like a broken record, but meditation or
it's the gateway.
Or just small, easy, manageable grounding techniques. Also asking them, like, well, what were you consuming when this happened? Like, going a little deeper into, like, if they want to, right? Because sometimes I get asked these questions, like, at a party, and it's like, well, do you want the, like, deeper, like, do you want to go dive deep and have a consultation right now, or, like, do you expect some, like, quick answer? But the quick answer is, like, oh, just, like, do some, like, go find a meditation on YouTube. Or, like, count to 10 as you breathe in, count to 10 as you breathe out.
Do you think that set and setting should apply to cannabis as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, especially if you're a novice, or, like, maybe you don't consider yourself a novice because you've, like, done it, like, 3 times a year every year since college, but, like, your body doesn't, have the same tolerance as, like, you or I. So something's not going to hit the same or whatever. That's the thing. It's so hard to talk about sometimes because I'm so aware of how different everyone's endocannabinoid system is.
Yeah, it makes it a more complicated subject to dissect.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's valid to just, like, go a little deeper into those questions.
I think that's very wise, particularly, well, what were you smoking? What were you doing when this happened? What's going on in your life right now? Because cannabis can really bring things to the surface for us, things that need to be looked at. And that's the gift. That's, like, the greatest gift that this plant has to offer. But sometimes we have to build our resources and our capacity to be able to handle what gets brought up.
Yeah, I saw this TikTok the other day where this girl was like, I just love, like, she was obviously high too, like, her eyes are cute, little glossy red eyes, and she was like, I love when I could just, like, smoke a little weed and listen to my John Mayer and, like, make pancakes. But why can't this happen all the time? And then, like, the caption was something about, like, seeing demons or something like that. And I, like, commented, and I was like, like, it's because cannabis is a mirror, and it's just going to reflect at times what's happening. Sometimes it's just what's happening deep inside that we don't even, like, we're not even privy to. We're just like going on our merry way, and then we're like, why did that person cutting me off affect me so badly? Same way meditation is. They're the same. They're like sisters. They're like,
if you don't meditate, person listening, if you don't freaking start your practice today, I swear to God. And what does it look like when someone wants to work with you? Because obviously I checked out your website, which is so adorable. But you quite literally, like, beyond the offerings that you mentioned, you are a consultant. Someone can ask to work with you to help re-navigate, re-architect how they consume. And I mean, like you said, you're like a big sister, you're a guide. So what do these calls look like? Do you come up with, like, treatment plans for people? Is it like therapy?
In a way. So it's funny because, to be honest, like, throughout the years, I've changed as I've gone because I've learned more about, like, well, what is truly helping people. So yes, I can help people essentially, like, for 1 month or just one-off class or one-off meetings. So it really depends on what you're looking for, long-term goals or short-term goals, what to CBD to buy your grandma or to give to your dog, or you want to maybe go on a tea break, or more simple, you want to start meditating more instead of always hitting your bong after work. Like, you want to start, like, incorporating other things in your life again. And because at some point, you just started smoking weed and, like, habitually, right? that helped worked for you, and now you need to get out of the spiral. And if you want CBD for your dog, then I will, yes, like ask you not necessarily what's wrong with your dog, because I'm not a veterinarian, but more of like, these are brands that I really trust. This is why I trust them. You could go to this dispensary or this store, or here's their website. This is what I recommend. Hey, maybe if, you know, the brand owner is open, and most of them usually are, like, to get on an email, you have any questions, like, you know, like open a door with more information for them in that way.
That's so cool.
Now, if you want to work more on like a 4-week basis where we meet every week, I check in on you. I am your guide throughout this like time that, you know, depending on what we're there for, it could be like something where you really want me to hold your hand throughout the week, or really you're like, this is my like 4-week intensive where I'm learning how to meditate, and I'm then yeah, I'm essentially building a treatment plan.
Yeah.
It's like all really kind of different, but within the same framework of we're learning cannabis education. That means all about the endocannabinoid system, the history, resources that you help you be a more conscious consumer, like, you know, like where to look, who to follow, who to get information from, depending on what you really are interested in. It goes it's very personalized, but
cannabis is a big space, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But first of all, what a cool job.
It's so fun.
What a cool resource for people, because I know that there's like, I've often equated cannabis to yoga. Like, if you're a beginner in cannabis, it can feel like you're a beginner in yoga sometimes, where a lot of people are like, well, I want to go to yoga, but like, I'm not flexible. I'm a little nervous. I don't want to be embarrassed.
I don't have the right stuff.
Yeah, so I'm just not going to do it at all. I'm just going to opt out. And I feel that way with cannabis sometimes, that people are curious. They want to know what to buy. They want to try it, but they're intimidated. And so they opt out. And so to have a resource like you, that's someone who's like, you're safe with me. I can hold your hand through this. And also at the end, the point is to empower you to have a different perspective. That's just so special. So thanks for existing.
Yeah. I want to say this is like super simple. I had a client who she really she just moved somewhere new. And she can't like smoke in this, like she can't consume in the same way that she could before. And because of that, she noticed that that was her only form of solace. And now that she couldn't do it in the same way, and she also like didn't feel comfortable like smoking outside, and like all these different like barriers to her just smoking a damn joint. She like wanted to start meditating and doing more yoga, but she knew she wouldn't do it by herself. So she wanted me to be there to like send her yoga, send her classes and teach her a bit more about it, and like nerd out with her about this stuff. That's cool. When it's like that, it's even like more fun too, because it's like rewarding in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope she gets to smoke her joints in peace wherever she wants soon enough. So I've got one last question for you, the big kicker. One day I want to like make a store of all of the books and movies people have recommended at the end of my interviews. But what is that one book or story or trip out of the country or friendship or song that you heard or psychedelic trip that has opened or changed your mind, and in what ways?
I think this friendship I had in high school, her name is Natasha. She's not dead. She's very much alive.
Okay.
But she was like, she taught me what it would mean to like have true community outside of family. And that was very much like in the cannabis and psychedelic space. And like that was like my real like introduction into like what being a consumer is, and like using it with meditation and like in conjunction with yoga. And her and I would smoke out of like our cute little bowls, because of course they had to be the cutest bowls when we were 17, and just breathe together and hold hands. You know,
Natasha.
I know, my little Leo angel. And like, that was my introduction of like, wow, smoking weed and meditating.
Wow.
This feels just as good as like the mushroom trip we took last weekend. Right.
Oh, that's so cute. Wow, I've never had anyone share a friendship before.
Really?
Yeah. I've not had like a relationship drop. So no one can buy Natasha on the internet, but you can do your homework and figure a way around that. Can you tell everyone where they can find you on the web?
Yeah. So Instagram at Highlite Oasis and groovy_Danny. That's my personal, and I love when people follow me there. So please say hi. And then I'm on TikTok as your stoner big sister. And it's been really fun growing my community on there and just making videos.
Wait, are you having a hard time? Because TikTok is such a dingle dick.
Not really.
Really? Are you using like keywords and...
Yeah, and I've had my profile like deleted and then miraculously came back a few months later, and I've had things deleted, but other than that, no. And I know that's like a big deal, but it's been so few and far between that I would say my overall experience has been really positive. Also, just the people I've met there. Shout out to Danny, who also is a girl in cannabis. She lives out in Long Beach, and she just launched like an online shop for cannabis, like lifestyle products.
Wow, we love it.
Anyways, yeah.
What's her store called?
Best Friend's House.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Best Friend's House.
We'll put all of this in the show notes.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm like,
oh no, we love a last minute plug.
That's what I do. I love plugging friends. But anyways, yeah. At your stoner big sister on TikTok.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad you haven't been scorned. Can't wait to re-download, get re-addicted, and follow you on the talk. Thank you for that. And thank you so much thanks for talking to me today.
So much fun.
Oh, yeah. Love you to bits. And with that, aloha.
Bye.